Hi, my name is Yunkin Kiyofoma, and I am your instructor for Street Photography Basics. I'm a full-time, self-employed professional photographer who has developed a passion for capturing the forever moving world. To me, street photography is not just about capturing an image. It's about forever isolating the beauty in the mundane and documenting that for the history of mankind. The course you have chosen will teach you the fundamentals, approach, and execution of street photography. So street photography has been around for many years as a documentation tool for our culture. This documentation of growth and differences for our society has shed light on many things that aren't normally seen. For our history, we need to capture these moments because in a blink of an eye, these moments can just be gone. The moments that you capture today may not mean anything now, but they mark a time in history that is now forever immortalized. So in this course, we're going to cover 6 objectives for you. 1 is mentality of approach, 2 is the tools, 3 is execution, 4 is post-production, 5 is black and white versus color, and 6 is storage. Mentality of approach. Wabi-sabi is a concept in traditional Japanese aesthetics, constituting a worldview centered on the acceptance of transience and imperfection. The aesthetics is sometimes described as one of beauty that is imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. Characteristics of the wabi-sabi aesthetic include asymmetry, roughness, simplicity, economy, austerity, modesty, intimacy, and appreciation of the ingenuous integrity of natural objects and processes. Well, let's start with putting aside your capturing device. This part starts with you seeing the world around you in a different way. When you're done with this course, take time to look at things around your house just a little longer. Don't think of why those things are there, just look at the objects and think about how they exist in their own right. Pay attention to the character in each little thing, or big thing, new or old. Start to understand the beauty of transitions that objects go through. Think of the beauty of new metal and the rust that eventually will cover it. Think of how green a leaf is just as it falls and touches the ground. Then think of the greens, yellows, oranges, and browns that will envelop the leaf before it withers away. Believe in the beauty in every part of its transition. Think of the little chips and dings on your porcelain plate that make them unique. What you're doing now is seeing the beauty in everything. Now you have to try to extract that beauty to present it to the world. A moment in time just meant for you and you alone, and no one else will ever see this true subtle beauty. One of my favorite lines is, "Such subtlety, so easily missed." Now you want to start to frame those shots in your head. Think of a photograph. When you see a possible moment of fleeting beauty, try to frame it out in your head by thinking of it being printed as a tangible photograph. How you would crop out that scene to get the most impactful moment without distractions from other objects in the frame. Don't forget to keep in mind that you can also turn your framing to portrait mode in your head. Now try to understand your shot just a little bit and wait for the light to change that moment. Start to feel the connection with that moment, and when it starts to feel something to you, then you have a moment worth sharing. The feelings will now be translated through feelings for the viewer from that capture. Sharing that moment is special because now others get to feel the world as you do and get a glimpse into how you see moments. I want to let you know that there are no rules to the beauty you see for yourself. The tools. Let's talk about the tools you need to become a street photographer. First, you need a capturing device. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It just has to be a device that you're actually comfortable with, that you've used before, that you're a little efficient at, and you've already corrected your issues, and then you have good results. And then you can take that and apply them to street photography. You can use things as your cell phone, disposable camera, film camera, and then the digital camera. The film camera is going to be a little bit of a challenge to use unless you're pretty proficient at it, due to the lack of autofocus, and also you have to know your settings because you just never can see the results until after you process the film. And film can get a little expensive unless you know how to develop film yourself, or you know a place or a buddy that can actually give you a pretty good deal on developing film. There is something magical about film though. It has a certain soul to it when it is captured and printed and you actually see the results. Not a lot of capturing devices such as digital cameras can recreate that same feeling that film cameras do have. The film camera can be very analog with its manual settings, manual focus, and overall lack of auto settings. That's why my preferred capturing device is a digital camera for the streets. It gives you results right away and processes the image on the back of the camera or right in the viewfinder. This way you can correct your shot or take another one if you would like. It has a lot of auto assisting features such as auto ISO, auto focus, and face detection, and more. This will help you be more successful on the street because you're not dealing with all your settings all at once. You can have fun with it. Don't limit yourself. Remember, just have fun on the street as long as you can capture what you see on the street. You can use a disposable camera. I've used things from video cameras that can capture stills, multiple things, toy cameras, anything that you would like. Just try to have fun with it. Another tool that you're going to need is something to be able to process your images. For post-production, I normally use Lightroom for images. It can handle a lot of images all at once. It can do a lot of batch editing, which is something that I definitely need with the amount of photos that I go through. Photoshop I mainly use for fine detail editing only. There's a lot of editing applications also for your cell phone. The main one I normally use is ViscoCam. It lets me batch edit photos, it lets me handle photos, and there's a lot of built-in presets and other presets that you can actually purchase. There's a Creative Cloud package for photographers that offer Lightroom and Photoshop in a bundle. I will go over a little how to edit black and white and color in Lightroom in the post-production portion of this course. Now for execution, we head to the streets, and away we go. I've always enjoyed the bus. There's just something peaceful about it. I love watching everyone's lives and being interested in what they do. Watch how I set up for this approach. I'm walking, shooting from the hip, and then grab. So here's 3 different main styles that I normally use. You can use the real upfront focus, take a picture that way, or you can actually just kind of like hold it out and look at the screen and then just make sure that things are in focus, that's down lower, or you can just go ahead and just blind shoot whatever your subject is. I'm not against just blind shooting. I love blurry photos, and I'll show you some examples of that too as well. So we're gonna go ahead and go through the first one, and I'm gonna show you how to do that while you're trying to anticipate your subject's next move so you can actually capture a good moment on the street while holding it to your eye without getting caught every time. So. Another tip is to try to blend yourself within the crowd as much as you can. Pretend like you're a tourist yourself. I found my subject that I've already wanted to shoot, and then I pretend that I am shooting around the subject that I want to shoot to kind of lower her guard. But in this case, she actually saw me, so I just ended up just taking the photo instead. And then another good tip is to, after you shoot a subject, go ahead and pretend like you're shooting somewhere else so they don't think that they were the main objective. I love that shot. There's just something about people eating on the street. Oh, this is a wonderful shot too as well. Right here, he is performing on the street, so he knows he's going to be photographed. Oh, I really enjoyed this person having a conversation by the car. I had to get to. So I already saw my subject here, and I set a trap basically right there. So I waited for them to come into frame because I knew that they were moving in motion. So I just pretended I was shooting something, and then they walked into my frame when really I ambushed them and they were my main subject. Sometimes you can get away with shooting a subject that is not paying attention to you, and sometimes when a subject is actually in motion of doing something and being distracted, that's kind of when the best time to actually capture them. I think I'm really fortunate to live in a city where there's a condensed area where there's a lot of things that are going on, a lot of things that happen all at once. So there's a lot of options to choose from when it comes to street photography. But it's all about in what you see and your ability. Even though there's not a lot going on, you can find beautiful moments to extract. I set this lady up for an ambush right here. Boom. That's all shooting from the hip still, shooting really down low, just having the camera around my neck and then firing, and then figuring out where my framing is in my head before I'm firing. So you just got to make sure you frame out properly while blind firing too as well, so you know how to angle it properly. That one I looked at the back of the screen, so I just held it out instead of holding it to my eye. Here's also firing down low from the hip. When I say hip, I don't mean that I have it on my hip. It's just at its lowest point of my camera strap. Setting an ambush here, click. I saw him coming into frame, so I was waiting for the proper moment as he framed up, and then I made my capture. Here's another example of waiting for the right moment. I wanted action on each side, man in the center, man on the right, man on the left. This was a quick one. This one was a blind fire as well. I turned. I saw the subject in the corner, and then click, click, click. I always try to take 1, 2, or 3 shots, depending on if they are paying attention to me or not. If they're not, I'm going to try to take multiple exposures. Sometimes you get kind of click happy, so you have to just make sure that you're framing it out properly, waiting for the right time, and then take that photo. Or sometimes you can just go to burst mode and then choose the one you like. But to become a better photographer, what you want to do is make sure that you are timing your shots, making sure you're actually looking at every subject that's in the frame and looking at why they're in the frame and what is important about this framing. Oh, I love this guy on the ground here on the right, firing from the hip. Boom. So you can also do something that I kind of show here. I'm pretending that I am just photographing something else, and then people pay me no mind. Then I can just turn and normally just photograph what I'm actually looking for. I do that a lot, actually, pretend that I'm photographing something else and then turn to the subject. This is an ambush example. Right there where you are just pretending like you're photographing the building, but you're really waiting for a subject to cross your line. Same here, I was waiting for a vehicle such as a taxi to cross my line so I can get a blurred effect while I get everybody on the strip there. Here's another ambush demonstration. I love how the light moves through the bus, and that's why I wanted to capture this shot, because as the bus was slowly moving there, the numbers started moving across the 2 seats. I love this bus shot here, and I'll show you there's a lot of details going on as I pan over. Look at the bus driver, actually kind of his emotion, and that is almost timeless. And then the one passenger on the right, which is opposite of him, so that balances the shot there. And the passenger almost looks like he's looking at him, but he's not. He's just looking straight forward. And the little details and structures and reflection and the metal, and just the metal shine, and then the soda bottle there, the empty one. It's just an overall well-balanced photo with the light coming in. I just love bus shots because there's just so much variety and detail. Down to the textures of the floor there, it's just beautiful. This is a anticipation shot. I was waiting for something to happen here as I set up my framing, and then that lady with the hat walked by, and I got all 4 people in the shot almost, and she was walking by. I should have got another one right here. That would have been great, but you know, can't get them all. Framed for this lady leans out, grab. So it's not just going on the street and just clicking away at random things, it's just still you're waiting for good timing, just right here. As this gentleman walked by, he had a cigarette in his mouth, he was strolling along, and this gentleman was just hanging out on the window here, and it just made for a very, very perfect photo. I'm gonna grab another one here, but I'm waiting for the ambush here. I'm pretending like I'm photographing the guy in the mirror, and this guy's not paying attention to me, so he got photographed. People walk by, dog gets into frame perfectly, shot. And then I'm gonna ambush one more time here. I'm gonna wait for these 2 gentlemen to cross over, boom. Oh, these guys that were just going down on this pizza on the bus just made me so hungry. It's like they've never had pizza in their life. It was just so fun to watch. Oh, this interaction between this boy and this man, probably his father, it was just so wonderful with the child sleeping on the lap. Post-production. So some of the best practices to do in post-production is to make sure that you back up your images from your device. Take them from your device, your memory card or so, put it into your computer or your laptop, and make sure that it's stored in a separate drive, and not that you're not working right off of the camera itself or the card itself, because if you do that and you format that card, those files will go missing. Just make sure that you always have the originals backed up somewhere. You want to make sure that you have the originals first backed up. So I use application, one of my favorite ones is Lightroom, because Lightroom gives you the opportunity to actually handle a ton of photos at once, basically. So it makes like culling and labeling, you know, taking out the bad photos and finding the best ones possible. So what I normally do is I just go through a photo here. Let's take this one and then start it from the beginning here. It's just the workflow and file handling of Lightroom is just bar none, in my opinion, the best. Let's start with this original photo. Here's how the photo looked originally. What I do is I would mark it either a color. I'll mark it yellow that I do like, and I'll give it a 5-star rating or a 4-star rating. You can do up to 5-star rating. And then down here you have your filters that you can filter them by rated, or if you wanted to, by the color filters. What I normally use is one of my presets that I use that I've created. They're called the heyfearless presets, and I am going to include one of the black and whites on this course itself, so you'll see that included with the course for you. This is one of my favorite street photography black and white ones. It's called the heyfearless SB B&W. Right now it does have a little bit of added grain to it. I kind of want to bring that down a little. Also figure out the highlights and the contrast a little here to make it a little deeper and richer. The reason why I go with black and white is because it is a little bit more moody. It shows a lot more emotion, and color photos can be sort of distracting, and I'll go over that in the next chapter, black and white versus color. This photo was a really, really good capture. I anticipated the person's movement before they came into frame, and then as he was making the motion, I was able to just get this beautiful, beautiful moment here. I do want these people here kind of in the background to still be slightly visible, but it's kind of hard because this was in the daylight and the sun was coming down here, and these people were definitely walking inside in a more darker area. But if I just bring this down just a tad, it looks a little bit more realistic and nothing too overproduced, and that's what we kind of want to stay away from. Especially we want to kind of emulate that film feel, so it gives that nostalgic or timeless kind of feel too as well. That's what black and whites are really good for. My actual black and white presets definitely deal with a lot of the tone curves. They soften up the highlights and kind of add its own fade too as well. So you can actually create your own black and whites or acquire black and whites, or you might have your own black and whites to use. So that's great. So I'm gonna definitely make that a 5-star rating, and then we can go to the next one. We can actually copy this preset and copy everything on this preset itself, and then we can move on to the next one. I'm gonna have another actual course that goes over full post-production work for Lightroom itself. That's going to be just meant for street photography or modeling photography in a later course. So let's pick another photo here that is worthy of this black and white. I got a bunch of this Piano Man guy too, and let me kind of break it down to actually show you what I did here. So what I did was, since I copied that black and white from that previous photo, I can just go ahead and paste right on. And this exposure, the exposure on the last photo was definitely a little too bright. I want to soften up those contrasts to kind of bring back these highlights around here. I'm liking how light this is because this is direct sunlight, so obviously you can't get away from that. So you wanted to try to embrace it as much as you can and allow it to actually help you in your photo here. Oh, this already looks good. So 5-star. Mark it red. I mean, mark it yellow. So I gave it a 5-star, mark it yellow. That puts it in its own category. Oh, I love this black and white photo of this lady talking on her cell phone. Let's do a color version of it. See, color would tend to be a little bit busy, but there's not too many different colors in this one. A lot of it's pretty complementary to each other. There's nothing too outstanding, but I like the color of her pants, and I like the color of this little girl's shoes, and the patterns on this little blanket that he has for her. Okay, let's edit this photo in color. What I want to do is use one of my presets, the heyfearless SBHB. It's one of my colors that is very subdued in the saturation because I like the reality of the street, but then dark on the shadows. Already good. Boom, just like that. Mark that yellow too. And then move on to the next one. Let me copy and paste this one. Oh, actually I want to add a little grain to this to give it a bit more of a film feel here. This is around my grain formula that I use here. It's a little closer. I have the exact numbers, but normally it's just the amount a little bit in the middle. The size is in between with the roughness. The roughness and the amount are about the same, and then the size is in between these two from the beginning. So that's a good amount of grain there. Let's go ahead and move it on to another one here that we like. I don't know if you're familiar with Lightroom, but yeah, this is a film strip on the bottom, and it gives you access to all your photos. You can actually mark them to remove them if you wanted to, or you can go ahead and rate them and then go ahead and filter just the rated photos if you wanted to. But for right now, I'm just roughly going through this. I have not called this film strip yet, so. Okay, here's another photo that deserves color because of just these tones that are going on right here. Loving this color combination with everything. So I'm gonna add my heyfearless preset there. Boom, just good for street, good for that film emulation. Go ahead and let's mark that, easy as that. Let's try to find another one here. Let's slap on that preset. That's a good color fade. Right here, the highlights were a little bit blown out, but we'll have another course on just editing. Love that one already. As you can see, this workflow is fairly easy if you have your processes down. As long as you have your process down. Slap on that black and white. Look at that, instant moody. Black and white versus color, and when to use black and white and when to use color. You can pretty much put black and white onto mostly anything and it's going to look really, really moody. I love black and white for street photography because it does give more of a dramatic feel, because you are not overwhelmed by all the different colors that are distracting. I'm going to show you a photo and one of them will have black and white and one of them will have color on it. This is the Piano Man, and the Piano Man has color on him at first. I actually like this photo in color. The reason why, it's because of the softness of it and then the harsh light too. There's a lot of shadow angles here, so it gives it tells a story over here, and it tells a little movement of stories over here as well. And then obviously he's in the center, so it's giving him the main focus. The only distraction part that I probably see here is this orange onto his face, but it might actually not be a distraction point because it actually emphasizes his face kind of, so it pushes him out just a little bit. But this photo in color is not bad, so sometimes you have a struggle when you're trying to figure out if that photo should be in color and in black and white. That's why I normally just choose color at first and then try black and white, because if you do black and white, it's just going to look so good in black and white that it's going to give you a biased opinion on it. Here's this photo in black and white. Everything is less distracting, everything is flat, and then it does give a little bit more mood, and then the shadows are really, really beautiful, and then even the shadows over here lightened up a little, which is really, really nice. But then the thing about black and white is you lose a lot of detail, because it was apparent that it was a bucket with blue tape around it, but now that it doesn't have that coloring, it loses its texturing kind of, so it almost looks like just gray object. And like these CDs actually in the color photo actually stood out on their own because of the reflection that they had and the colors of the CD covers itself. But then you lose that in the black and white, so they just become uniform. They just become the same thing. So that's where you lose and you also gain, because then now all this has become less distracting, like the full color of the piano, the full color of this guy's pants. So then you just start paying attention to the emotion and the mood and the actual subjects that you're photographing. That's why black and white is so powerful. Here's another black and white example. I mean, instantly you're drawn to this lady on her phone because she's giving some sort of emotional response as to really engaged in her phone call, which is good. And then you get this photo here of this gentleman, and you can tell that he's looking at you, and it's one of those things where you feel like someone's looking at you, so you kind of look at them right away. So that's always good too as well. He might not be looking at you, it just might be the glasses, but it's pretty cool. And then but you see him in motion, and then you're like, whoa, what is he holding? And it's a child. So this already gives two key points that I really, really enjoy already. And then there's just a bunch of noise and reflections in the background. I like this flattened boxes on this too. I like that there's text there. So this is overall, I love the subtlety of this black and white, and I love the shadow cast. The bricks and everything don't get too convoluted. And here it is in color. And I love the subtle blues that's going on here. I love the outfit of these blues. I love the outfit. I love this blanket here too as well. Yeah, the coloring is just really good. I love their hair colors here. Yeah, see, the brick is so soft and subtle. So it's hard to choose between color and black and white sometimes, and that's the struggle. So you almost have to kind of figure out your series if you want a black and white series or if you want a color series, because it is going to be a struggle, because that black and white is going to look good mostly on everything. Man, this photo is incredible even in color. And this is the photo in black and white. That's the photo in color. Black and white, color. This is definitely gives a really nostalgic feel, and I do lower my saturations a little so nothing is too punchy, so everything kind of feels soft and natural to the eye. That nostalgic film emulation again. Here's this photo in black and white. I love this because then you really focus on this gentleman, and then you focus on the patterns and what he's doing and what he's thinking about actually, which is makes this shot for me awesome because he is deep in thought. In the color, it gets a little bit distracting because of all the colors going on. See, the color actually takes you away from him a little and brings you to her because of the tones that she has going on here with her hair, her skin color, her bag color, and then the patterns on her bag, and then there's a pattern over here on her pants. So from color here, your eyes go to one subject, and then for black and white, it goes to another. See how that works. Black and white, he's deep in thought because now we're portraying Moody. Now in color, we're just loving the pattern and the scheme and the balance of this scheme right here. Oh, did not put this one in color. Let me see if I can put this one in color here real quick. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. All right, let's put this with our heyfearless SB preset. Boom, in color. I like this photo in color too. This really reminds me of a really, like, this could be an old time photo. I mean, like in the 90s even, you know, I mean, it just works because of that nostalgic film emulation. I love this preset because it just softens everything up and gives it like a blue kind of pastel-y kind of washed feeling. So it's just really, really natural, and I love it. Here it is in black and white. In black and white, it takes away all the blues and all the colors and all these reflections of the walls and everything, and then brings you to this gentleman here in the center, just one subject. And this sometimes this Coca-Cola bottle, because it for some reason just stands out to me, and it's just a good balance for some reason between the object. There's this thing up here too. I don't know what that is, but that's definitely standing out to me. So there's like some weird line going on right here that is appealing to the eye, and then there's an angle here, maybe because this object to this object is sort of the same corner angles that this is doing right here. So that could be a thing too as well. So I'm going to have another course on Lightroom and the culling process, and to keep to remember what photo you want to keep, to what photos you want to discard, and what constitutes as a good to decent to a great photo. This doesn't have a color edit yet. I'm going to add that hyper black onto there. It's a little dark in here. You're going to lighten that up a little. Oh yeah, let's straighten it out. And then boom. So this photo is pretty much amazing in color, especially with this heyfearless preset. I'm kind of loving it actually. I thought I loved this black and white because of the mood, but for some reason the colors are actually really standing out in this set that I just did for this course. So I might have to consider bringing a color set to this. So there you go. It's black and white versus color. It's going to be hard to choose for you, but if you do street photography, it normally tends to just stay black and white. The color is just more for, like, if you want to really capture the vibe of the city or whatever you're photographing on the street. But I suggest to always back up the original files in color, because you can always convert color to black and white, and you can't always convert black and white to color. That is very difficult. So you got to make sure that you always have the original just in case. Storage. Storage is very important for your photography. This way you can have a place where you designate where your images go so you can access them in the future safely. I normally use external drives. I have 5 terabyte drives that can actually store my images. 1 terabyte can hold up to 2 million JPEG images. There's a lot of alternatives to store your images, like cloud storage, online storages. I'll go over a few websites. I implore you to get a physical drive so it's something that's tangible that you can actually take care of and keep safe. There's a lot of online options like Google Photos, Shutterfly Photos, SmugMug is one of them, Prime Photos for Amazon, that's fairly new. I don't actually know how this interface is. 500 Pix is used by a lot of photographers too as well, such as Flickr. Flickr stores a lot of images too, and PhotoBucket. There's actually plenty of them out there that you can choose from, but I implore you to back up your photos. Try to make sure that you find a site that works for you, because some sites will limit the size of the photos that you put up. So if you don't want your photos to be compressed in any way, make sure you read the site and what they have to offer properly. There's also online galleries that you can choose from too as well. I use a lot of cloud storage and backup for my photos too as well. I use CloudSpot for my clients' photos, and I actually have a lot of external drives to keep me safe. So just make sure you store your photos. Remember, what you're doing is you're archiving history. So these photos will be of very importance in the next 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. Make sure you create folders. Make sure you create the proper folders for each year, each month, and then what that category is for that actually photo. Archiving is very important when it comes to accessing your photos. The more organized you are, the easier it is to shift through your photos. So that's it for this course. Thank you for taking Street Photography Basics with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Whether you are a novice or a professional, I hope there was something that you were able to take away from this course, something that can inspire you or motivate you to do more street photography. I have included a free Hey Fearless preset that works in Lightroom in this course for you. Please feel free to tag Yunkin Kiofoma on your street photography photos on Instagram. I would love to comment on them, and I would love to see the world through your eyes.